Welcome to Lesson 4, Hypnotic Trance Induction Part A, Suggestibility Tests. Now, just before I go into them, I want to once again mention the placebo effect and the nocebo effect and the Hawthorne effect and the totem effect. In brief, the placebo effect is the idea that if somebody was to be given a sugar pill with no chemical drugs in it whatsoever, but they fully believed that it was a real chemical drug and they expected it to work for them, then it can work just as well, sometimes even better, than if they've been given a chemical drug. Whereas the nocebo effect, in a nutshell, is the idea that if a chemical drug that should work is given to somebody, but they truly believe that it won't work and expect it not to work, then their mind can control their body and actually stop it from working. The Hawthorne effect is the observer idea, the idea that if someone in authority is observing their progress, they are more likely to make the changes and stick to them than if left to their own devices. Okay, it's like that idea of having an authority figure to answer to. And the totem effect is the idea that something mystical like a totem pole or a crystal can contain an external power or energy that can help something occur. Now, I examine all of these, the placebo effect, the nocebo effect, the Hawthorne effect and the totem effect, and how vitally important they will be and are to your success as a professional mind therapy consultant within the seminar I did called the Royle event. I did this at the end of 2017 in Birmingham, England. I received 2 highly enthusiastic standing ovations at the end, as you'll see when you watch the videos. To grab your own copy of those videos, they normally sell for 147 United States dollars, but as a student of this course, I'm going to give you them free of charge. So I've set up a website, which is hypnotismexposed.com. That's www.hypnotismexposed.com. hypnotismexposed.com. Go and grab those 6 hours of free videos and you will become a master in the understanding and use of the nocebo effect, placebo effect, Hawthorne effect and totem effects, and thus you will be a far more confident and competent mind therapy practitioner. Of that I guarantee you. Certainly when you've read the PDFs and accompanying literature that come as bonus downloads with this video course. So, having said that, when the client comes to you, you want to ensure that through suggestion, you continue to convince them that you're the right person for the job. They must believe that to a degree already through your advertising and the fact they paid a 50% of a sizable fee up front, and when they arrive, you take the balance of money off them, and they've done the questionnaire ritual and all that. But to continue this, as well as them seeing your diplomas on the wall and all that kind of stuff, you're going to act completely confidently that what you do will work. Indeed, it's beyond that. The moment a client steps through my consulting room door, I act as though and speak in a manner that suggests to them that they are already cured. And to a degree, they arguably are, because we're going to give them that environment for change, the safety for change, permission to change, and enable them to relieve all self-blame, shame, guilt and regret in the consulting room so they can leave and feel more loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished and valued, with increased self-confidence, self-esteem, self-control and self-image, so that they feel a higher sense of self-worth and self-love, as we explained in the last video. We're going to give them all of that, but sometimes they will act as though they are a bit worried, and they might say something like, "Oh, you're not going to get me to run around like a chicken or bark like a dog like those stage hypnotists, are you?" Now, many conventional hypnotherapy training courses will tell you to go into great depth on how stage hypnosis and hypnotherapy are different, which is ridiculous because they're not. They're the same tool, just used in different ways. But my key to this is to respond to the client and say, why? Do you want me to make you bark like a dog or, cluck like a chicken? To which they'll say no, because obviously they might be a little bit scared. To which your response is, well, that's good, because you've only paid me for an hour of my time, and we need that time to ensure that you leave here and continue to be continue to be, implying they've already become, continue to be a confident, happy, healthy non-smoker, or continue to be a person no longer scared of spiders or whatever. But by saying continue to be, it implies that they've already achieved this and that it will carry on. And then at the end I add, but if you want to pay me some more money, we can do the daft stuff, up to you. Or shall we just carry on and help you continue with the reasons you've come here today to change positively and permanently? And they will say, yes, this overcomes their fear, but in a manner where you've effectively said you could do that, which means you've not giving up any of your power. If you say hypnotherapy is different than stage hypnosis and that you can't do that to them, then that means you're not as good as the stage hypnotist in their mind at an unconscious level. Whereas if you handle it the way I've just said, you go, well, I could do that, but you've only paid for an hour of my time. Do you want to pay more money, or shall we just get on with it and ensure that you continue to be the person you have now become and will be when you leave this consulting room? Then it overcomes their fears. It removes any resistance, and it instills into them the belief that you could do that. So helping them stop smoking, lose weight, overcome the phobias or whatever will in fact be easy. We then need to just slightly convince them even further, and to that effect I generally use a suggestibility test. Some people call them a set piece, some call them a convincer of the eyes following the thumb. Now I'm going to stand up for this, but basically what happens with this is you get the person to stand up, you get them to put their feet together, ankle to ankle, or rather heel to heel, toe to toe, so that their feet are together, their legs are together, they're stood up straight, and they put their right arm out in front of them like this, outstretched in front of their body, and they stare, so it's out in front of them like that. You can see it's out in front of my body there. And they stare at their thumb. And the idea is that on the count of 3, they are to move their thumb in a clockwise direction and follow their thumb with their eyes and their head as far as they can, rotating at the waist, but keeping their feet together, and then stopping the moment it becomes the least bit painful or uncomfortable. So it would look something like this. Okay, I'm going to look with my head like this, directly at my thumb, like that. And then it would look something like this. And then I would stop when it becomes uncomfortable, out. And I'm looking there. And then you tell them to rotate back to where they were, following their thumb with their eyes and their head. I then tell them to close their eyes down and to imagine in their mind's eye that they're doing it again. And as they follow their thumb with their eyes and their head, that they can go much further than they did before, and they feel no discomfort whatsoever. In fact, something they once thought would be impossible or incredibly difficult to achieve is just about, in their mind's eye, their personal net-top computer, to prove itself to be so ridiculously easy, proving to them they can achieve anything and everything they want to do today while they're with you in your office. And then you get them to imagine this in their mind's eye and tell them to tell you when they've seen themselves moving further, being able to rotate at the waist further than they did before without any discomfort whatsoever, staring at their thumb with their eyes as they do so. And they tell you when they've done that. You then get them to be ready, and you say, this time on the count of 3, you're going to do it again for real, genuinely rotating at the waist, genuinely following your thumb with your eyes and moving your outstretched arm with your fist like so, with the thumb pointing upwards as you stare at your thumb with your eyes. You're going to move it in a clockwise direction as far as you can, rotating at the waist and following your thumb with your eyes as far as you can. And you'll notice this time you feel no discomfort whatsoever. Get them to do that. Then on the count of 3, you go 1, 2, 3, do it, that's brilliant. Follow your thumb with your eyes, going further, 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 and notice how much further you can go. And stop when you've gone that much further. Excellent. And you praise them, because inevitably they will have gone further. And there's a reason for this. That's because reason number 1, they will have warmed up the muscles in their waist, their neck and their body and their arms and all this the first time they did it. Reason number 2, second time in their mind, they've told themselves, given them the suggestion and visualization that it can become reality. And reason number 3, perhaps more importantly, is that what you said and got them to do the second time is slightly different than the first time. You see, the first time, we get them to stare at their thumb with their eyes and their head and follow it, rotating at the waist. Well, if you do that, there's only so far your neck can rotate before your neck stops, because human beings are not owls. However, the second time, we just tell them to follow their thumb with their eyes. We forget to mention with their head. This means that when they get to that point that they were at before, where they couldn't move their head any further, they can carry on moving their arm further, but they wouldn't have been able to move their head further. But what they can do in that position is they can move their eyeballs further to follow their thumb. So that slight different phraseology the second time, which is not consciously remembered, means the second time they're just following their thumb with their eyes, not physically with their head all the way. So that means they genuinely can move their arm further, and therefore when their head gets to the point they can't go any further, their eyes can follow the thumb further, and to them it gives the impression they've suddenly moved further than they did before. Well, the truth is they have, it's just they've done it in a different manner because they were only following their thumb with their eyes. But to them it gives that massive visual suggestion that by you saying things to them imagining it in their mind's eye, that then it becomes instant, genuine reality to them. So if in that moment, in that very second, they see that their thumb and arm have moved further, which they will have done, if you've got them to stand there with their feet heel to heel, toe to toe, feet together, legs together, left arm by their sides, down straight by the side, and the right arm out in front of them so that it's outstretched in front of them with their hand as a fist, with their thumb stuck up in the air, which they're going to stare at with their eyes and their head the first time around, rotating at the waist in a clockwise direction till they stop when it's the least bit painful or uncomfortable. And the first time we're suggesting it could be painful, so stop at that very moment. It's not about being big or hard, proving yourself to be a real man. It's about stopping and not hurting yourself. So that makes them stop a bit sooner as well. Whereas the second time, we don't mention in the visualization with their mind about following with the head. We just say, following your thumb with your eyes, notice how much further you've gone. So they've done the mental rehearsal. When they say they've done that and they've done it correctly, you tell them that in a moment they're going to prove to themselves they've done it right, and that puts the kind of blame on them if they don't. Thus, it's more likely to work. And you tell them to follow their thumb with their eyes. And they'll notice that this time they don't feel the discomfort they did before. We never use the negative word pain the second time, so it's a happier thing to do. And combined with the fact that they can follow their thumb with their eyes further, it physically means they will do, but in their mind's eye, they'll think they've done the same thing and their reality's changed. So it makes them believe that when you suggest things, when they visualize them, it becomes their instant reality, which means they will then believe that other things you tell them in future, if they imagine them, become their genuine reality. See you in the next lesson.